Hi, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and my project today is for the Elizabeth Craft Designs Designers Challenge for November 2018. It is a floral Christmas, so I have used some normally spring floral stamps with white and metallics to create a Christmas card. My first set of stamps is called Blossom Time, and I'm going to be using the 2 large flowers, the 2 leaves, and the small berry branch from that set. And then the second set of stamps I've used is called Blooms and Leaves, and I'm just going to be using that small floral branch on the lower right there. So to start off with, I am going to be stamping the 2 large flowers and the floral branch onto a piece of 85-pound white soft finish cardstock using VersaMark ink. I'm going to be heat embossing these in gold. So the VersaMark ink is a clear sticky ink that allows the embossing powder to stick to the stamped images that after you stamp them. And the little anti-static pouch that I use there at the beginning kind of takes off all the static, leaves sort of I don't know, it's almost like baby powder residue that keeps embossing powder from sticking anywhere you don't need it. So I'm using my stamp press so I can stamp these down twice, just to make sure I've got a good impression in the VersaMark. It can be a little tricky to see the ink on the white paper, but once we sprinkle it with the embossing powder, you'll see how cool it looks. I wanted to mention that Soft Finish Cardstock by Elizabeth Craft Designs is a really, really cool cardstock. It has a texture to it, and sometimes that can make stamping images a challenge, but if you use a stamp press, it's not a big deal. But it does a really, really awesome job with heat embossing powder. For whatever reason, I think the texture, once you use the anti-static tool, really prevents the embossing powder from sticking anywhere you don't need it. And so I've always had really, really great luck with images and embossing powder when using the soft finish cardstock. So as you saw there, I heat set the gold with my heat tool, and now I am stamping the 2 leaves and the berry branch also on the paper, and I'm going to be heat setting this in silver embossing powder. Now in the end, I will have 3 berry branches and 3 large leaves and 2 small leaves. You won't see me have all those until we kind of assemble everything, but just wanted to let you know ahead of time. So to add a little bit of color accent to these images, I'm doing some very basic coloring with my Spectral Noir markers. So this is my DR5 red marker, and I'm just using it to highlight these centers on the larger flowers, and then I'm going to go over those little accent marks on the petals on this kind of frilly flower. Then I'm going to go to my Spectral Noir Illustrator DG2 marker and highlight the leaves on my holly branch, or actually I guess it's a berry branch. I'm using this really thin Pilot silver marker to kind of fix any area on that little berry branch that didn't emboss real perfectly. And now I'm going over the gold accents around the centers of the small flowers, just the little lines with the silver marker to turn them silver. Now I'm going to go back to my DR5 and make the berries on the berry branch red. And finally, I will take my LG4 Illustrator marker and just highlight the lines in the leaf. I didn't want to turn them totally green. I just wanted a little bit of accent of green. So now I'm going to die cut all these out with the matching dies. So I've got my Gemini Go here, and I've got my sandwich of a cutting plate, the plastic shim, metallic shim. Then I'm going to flip the dies over so they're cutting side up, and put the other cutting plate on top and run it through my little Gemini Go. Love this machine. It's small. It's like a mini version of the Gemini. It's got a pad that's 3 inches by 6 inches, so it's great for die cutting out small images. Now I have attached the dies to the paper with paper tape, and so now I'm just removing the dies from the images, and you can see how they are die cut out there. And I'm going to run the rest of them through, and you'll see those here as well. So remember, I do have more leaves and berry branches in the end than you see there. But to highlight the centers of the flowers, I'm using some tonic drops. So this is bright gold crystal drops that I'm adding to the middle of the kind of daisy looking flower. Golden Sunset I am putting in the very centers of the smaller flowers. So it still has a little silver highlights around it, but it's gold right in the middle. And then I'm going to use Ruby Slippers, which is glitter drops, in the center of that kind of frilly petaled flower, and let those dry. All right, now here are all of my elements to assemble. I have an A2 sized horizontal top folding card. I have a piece of gold mirror cardstock cut to 4 by 5 1/4. Those branches are cut out of G&K Designs Christmas pine paper, and I used the pine branch die from the beautiful Baubles Die Set to cut those. I have die cut out the Merry Christmas greeting. It's called Merry Christmas Small from the Away with Words line. And that has a double-sided adhesive sheet on the back of it to turn it into a sticker. I cut apart the small flower branch into 4 pieces, and then I trimmed off one of the small branch, like berry branches from one of the berry branch stamps to make a separate little piece. Now I knew how I was kind of going to lay out this card, so I knew that the bottom sort of scroll detail on this Merry Christmas wasn't going to fit. So I am trimming that off with my Teflon coated scissors, which is important, especially since this has an adhesive sheet on the back of it, which makes it very sticky. And now I'm just going to adhere the gold mirror cardstock to the middle of the card front using 6mm clear double-sided adhesive tape to give it like a nice metallic background with a white border all the way around it. I've used 3mm clear double-sided adhesive tape down kind of the centers of the pine branches, and I'll be sort of crisscrossing them kind of in the upper right corner, so that obviously you see the one branch goes across the top and then the other branch will kind of go down the right side. And that'll be kind of how I know where to lay out my flowers, because they're going to kind of all go on top of that branch. So now I'm going to just create my little floral bouquet. So I've got 6mm adhesive on the back of this big flower that I'm sticking down in the upper right. And then I've added foam tape to the back of the kind of daisy looking flower to pop that up a little bit. And now I'm just going to spread the various smaller elements around to create some visual interest and kind of make your eye move around the card, especially with those little red dots and green leaves on the berry branches. I think that helps keep your eye moving around the composition. I've used 3mm adhesive on the back of the little berry branches. I've got 6mm on the larger of the smaller flowers, and then 3mm on the back of the tiny flower and then the leaves. And I only put adhesive in the middle of the flowers and the various accents so that they can sort of lift up off the background kind of subtly to create a little bit of added texture and dimension. And that's the completed arrangement. And now I'm just going to stick the Merry Christmas greeting down, since it is a sticker with adhesive sheet on the back of it. And that was when I decided that the Merry Christmas wasn't really standing out well enough from the background gold paper. So I grabbed my white gel pen, one of my favorite tools, and I just traced all the way around the outer edges of the Merry Christmas to give it a white border. Now I did have to go over it maybe 2 or 3 times, and you do have to let it dry between coats, because if you just draw over it when it's wet, you're just going to pull the white gel pen right off. But if you let it dry in between and just go over it again, it makes a really nice white border, as you can kind of see there, and really highlights the words. It kind of brings it together with the rest of the white elements on the card. So I hope you like the project, and I hope I've inspired you to try using some non-Christmas floral stamps for a floral Christmas card. And please check out the rest of the designer projects on the Elizabeth Craft Designs blog post today that is linked in the video description, as are all of the supplies, so you can check those out as well. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. I love getting comments. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I'd appreciate it if you do that as well. And here are 2 more Christmas videos I have done in the past, so check those out as well. Thanks. Have an amazing day.